Welcome to It's All Fine and Dangy, where we talk about community, health, culture, and all of the big and little things that make life good. Here are your hosts, Dan and Angie.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Happy Thursday. Not Thursday yet. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, Facebook Live Day, podcast on Thursday.
That's it.
Anyway, guys, welcome to episode 66. That's right, I said 66 of the It's All Fine and Dangy show.
I keep doing that, but 66.
66.
We're just flying through it.
Flying right through. We today have a very cool guest, and her name is Miss Kelly Hayn. She is the assistant director of the CARE Foundation. It is a wildlife sanctuary and education facility right here in Apopka, right down the road from us.
So surprising to me.
Yes. So we're super excited to find out all about the CARE Foundation, what they stand for, and what their needs are. We're just going to get right into it. Welcome, Miss Kelly. How are you this evening?
I am great. Thanks for having me. We're so excited to be here with you guys.
Oh, thank you. We're excited to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
So I was really excited. The first time, like a couple times I drove by the sign that you guys have out, and it caught my eye, and I thought it was a greyhound on the sign. And I'm like, I wonder if that's like a greyhound rescue. So the next time I went by, I stopped by it, and then I was talking to Holly Fox, his cousin,
right? And
she's like, oh yeah, I've been there before. And I'm like, oh, so cool. So then I found you guys on Facebook and started following you. And I'm like, you know what? Let's see if they want to be on the show.
Yeah, and I don't know why, but we'll get into some questions about the foundation and things. But it surprised me for some reason. I grew up right off of Pond Can Road in Apopka. I was born in Apopka. And I had no idea there was a place like this right in Apopka. So it's very cool. Yeah. Very excited.
So we'll get in the history of it, how long they've been there and everything a little bit. But as we start all of our shows, we just like you to intro yourself to our audience and maybe tell us a little bit about your position there and what you do at the CARE Foundation.
Okay. Well, my name is Kelly Hayn, and I am the assistant director at the CARE Foundation. I have actually been there for... it's 11 years now.
Oh, wow.
I started as a volunteer there 11 years ago. I moved down to Florida from New Jersey with that dream that every little girl has who loves animals. I wanted to be a dolphin trainer at SeaWorld.
Oh.
To which I went on a number of interviews, and I never made it into the marine mammals, but I ended up at a job at Universal Studios working with animals at a show there and with animals in the movies. But in the meantime, while I was looking to try and get into that, I just started volunteering with Kristen. Out at CARE. And that's when I kind of learned about the rescue and the education. And it was a much different place than I ever thought I'd end up. But I got really close to a lot of the animals that I work with now. So I never really left there. I still volunteered. I gave them my free time. That was kind of my little peaceful place. And as time went on, her and I became very good friends. That became my home. Those became my children. And then she started needing somebody more to help her run the place. And she looked to me and I said, absolutely. So now that's my full-time job. That's not just my job, but it's my life. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, that's a cool story. Am I echoing?
Oh, no, I think what's happening is her speaker is getting picked up by the microphone. Let's test that for a minute.
Hello. Okay, it's fine now.
It's fine now.
Maybe I was just too loud or something.
Or me.
Do I sound okay? Can you still hear me?
No, you sound great.
You're fine.
Okay.
I was echoing a little bit in my ear, so, I was like, okay, what am I doing wrong here?
Oh, I think it's just Skype being Skype.
So we chatted, me and Kelly were chatting a little bit before we got started, and I asked how how they are handling, everything since COVID-19. And what did you respond to that, Miss Kelly?
Well, my life really hasn't changed. In fact, I think we're working harder than ever during this time. I mean, it has changed in the sense that, unfortunately, because we are a nonprofit and, charitable giving is a lot of the way that we, are able to run donations, but also events, booked events, birthday parties, tours, school shows, library shows. We've lost a lot of our income. So a lot of our public events have been sidelined, which is an unfortunate thing. But we kind of looked on the bright side and said, how can we use this positively? And we've been doing a ton of projects, construction projects, repairs. We've rescued a lot of new animals this year. So we're looking to bring them in and get them settled. So in terms of on-property work, we are, I think, working our butts off harder than we ever have, which is exciting. Myself and Kristen, the director, are constantly off-property doing events, educational shows, and stuff like that. So it's nice to be back on property with our kids and really working hard, but we do miss that going off property. And of course we've lost a huge source of our income right now. So it's kind of a catch-22 for us. But no, our lives never changed. We have been trucking along behind those doors, trying to get geared up for summer and for the animals we're bringing in. So
yeah, just kind of a change of role really, but not a change of, how much work you, almost sounds like you're more busy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I do a lot of on-property things. Even though I'm the assistant director, I'm still just as involved in, not to get graphic, scoop and poop, doing the dirty. My fingernails are dirty every single day. So I also help to run the volunteer program. So I am there with the volunteers every single day, right down in the nitty-gritty. So we have to do everything there. Feeding the animals, scooping their poop, cleaning the enclosures, doing the repairs, even landscaping, gardening, property upkeep. We do everything ourselves.
Yeah.
But on top of that, when our events are going on, I do go off property and I do education and events like that too. So it has been nice to be home. In right now. So
that's a huge part of what you do, is to kind of educate the community too. So being able to get out and do that, or have people actually visit the foundation to be able to get that education. I'm sure you guys are all looking forward to getting back to that.
Yeah. So if I could interrupt just a bit, because I think our guests are going to wonder, what is this foundation? Can we rewind just a hair? And can you tell us what the foundation is, and maybe start with how the foundation got started?
Yeah, so Care Foundation is a nonprofit wildlife sanctuary that has been open now for 24 years. So Kristen Burford, she's the founder and the director, and one of my closest friends, my sister at heart. And she started it 24 years ago, and her main mission was to focus mainly on native Florida wildlife, but her goal was to really just go around to schools, libraries, groups, and educate on wildlife, on why some animals don't make great pets, but in general, just to have a kind of a small little thing. And then she started having a lot of people needing to rehome other animals, and she found herself in a position where she ended up with a lot more than she bargained for.
Oh, wow.
The original idea was to not have what we have now. But she has a heart of gold. She will not say no. Exactly. She will not say no to an animal in need. And so what started out as a very simple, small educational thing for her turned into over 200 animals, 10 acres. We have animals from almost every continent. We have big cats is one of the big things. So we do have tigers. We have a hybrid. We have a little liger. We've got primates, a ton of primates. We've got a ton of tropical birds, small mammals like foxes, servals, raccoons, skunks, possums. And then, of course, we have a very large reptile collection as well, including crocodilian, alligators, and even venomous snakes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness.
So that's encompassing, what we have. And the story behind a lot of them is that a good majority of them were either ex-pets, privately owned pets that people either owned illegally, or they did own them legally. You have to have a licensing for a lot of them here in the state of Florida. And they either didn't want them anymore. Classic stories. I don't have time for them. It got too big and I didn't realize it would get that big. It bit my child, so on and so forth. Or native Florida wildlife that were deemed non-releasable for a variety of reasons. We kind of get the animals that are the unwanted animals that otherwise would have not had a home. And of course, the animals that can't go to the wild because either they're not from here or they were born in captivity. So we're a safe haven for animals that would otherwise have had nowhere to go.
That's really commendable.
So is it normally like, when we're not in the COVID-19 thing, is it normally like a zoo for the public, I guess I should ask?
No, so we're not open to the public on a daily basis.
Right.
We do tours by appointment only. We like to keep it nice and quiet and peaceful for our animals.
Makes sense.
But also we are run entirely on volunteers. So we don't always have a full staff. We don't have some sort of gift shop at the front where there's somebody manning that.
Sure.
And we will sometimes just have a couple of people running the place. So we are still currently doing very small tours right now, and we have still done a few during the pandemic, but we kept it to really groups of 4 to 6 or less. And it was those private guided tours. So we're still doing those now. We've always done those. That's a big draw is coming in. Usually it's a tour guide. Yours truly is one of them. You get to walk around for an hour and a half to 2 hours. You do interaction with some of our animal ambassadors. Feed treats to a few of the animals. And of course, part of the big draw is also seeing some of our big cats get fed their meal. Right. So it's a great educational walkthrough, but it's all supervised. And then we do 1 or 2 weekends a year where we do open the sanctuary to the public. It's it's our biggest fundraiser of the year. We call it an open house. It's admission at the door. It's basically a big festival. Nice. We do food trucks, we do bounce houses, we do crafts, we invite other facilities and other vendors to come out. Very nice. That is when we allow people to walk the property, where we bring in 30 or 40 of our volunteers to staff it for education and fun. But right now, we can't even start to plan that. We would normally do it in the fall because we don't know, social gathering wise, if we'd be allowed and if that's even a good idea.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. So, I almost like that you're not normally open to the public in general, because I think it kind of states what you're about, that you're about helping the animals more than putting them on display. Can you tell us what CARE stands for?
Yeah, so CARE is an acronym for Creating Animal Respect and Education. Yes. And that was started by Kristen. So that's exactly what it sounds like. It's all about, the animals, and not only teaching people how to respect them, but educating them on, the importance of conservation awareness. We do have quite a few endangered species on our property, but also educating them on why a lot of these animals do not make good pets. And hopefully people go away with a little bit of knowledge when they leave our place.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you talked about some of the animals that you have there. And so when the animals come there, do you rehabilitate any of them, or is it pretty much once they come to you, did you say that that's their forever home kind of?
Yeah, so we actually do not have a rehab license. To give you a little bit of an idea of just how hard it is to run a place like ours, we have, I think, 26 or 27 different licenses to operate our specific facility. Yeah, we have one major federal license, and that falls under the USDA. And then we have a number of different Fish and Wildlife Commission licenses based on what kinds of animals, what class they fall under, and so on. But the rehab license is an entirely different program. And Kristen chose not to do that because that's a whole nother ballgame. So we do work with a rehab center here in Orlando, and there's a couple of different places, but there's one called Back to Nature. It's a great rehab center. So if somebody does find an animal directly in the wild, whether it's an injured animal or an orphaned animal, and they try and bring it to us, we'll direct them towards that rehab facility, where hopefully that's, of course, the goal is to rehab and release any animal that can go back to the wild. So we mainly do work with animals that either were deemed non-releasable by those rehabbers or Fish and Wildlife, or mainly exotic species that were bred in captivity to begin with.
Yeah. I was going to ask, is there one exotic animal that you seem to get more of them coming in than others?
We have had, in the 10 years that I've been there, the day that I started volunteering, we didn't have a single primate on property, so monkeys mainly. And in this 10 years, we now have over a dozen that have come in. Wow. So and then we had very few. I mean, foxes it's kind of the trend, whatever is the trendy animal. So foxes are native to Florida, but they're considered an exotic. You do have to have a license to own them. So, I'd say primates are the big one that we didn't have any when we started. And Kristen always said, I'm never going to have primates. It's something I'm not sure I want to kind of really get involved in. But we had a group of monkeys that we rescued 10 years ago that are now some of the biggest faces of our rescue. And the story they have was so heartbreaking. And there's no way she could have said no. And now we're so thrilled that we took them on, and their lives are changed so much for the better that it stemmed from there.
Well, can you tell us their story?
Yeah. So there were 3 capuchin monkeys and 1 spider monkey. And actually, our spider monkey also has his own Facebook page. His name is Amos.
Oh, God.
Famous Amos. And they were owned by an animal hoarder in the downtown Orlando area. And sadly, the owners passed away. And when the whole scene was found and Kristen was called in along with Fish and Wildlife to handle the animals, they had found a number of animals, birds, dogs, cats. But they also found these 4 monkeys living in small bird cages. It was filthy, in the dark, and all of their front teeth had been pulled.
Oh my God.
No canines, no incisors. They were terrified. Amos, the spider monkey, was actually tethered to the woman when she had passed.
Oh my gosh.
So if you can kind of picture that graphic image of, it's like a child, if their mom or dad passes away, just sitting there crying.
Oh my gosh.
So it was one of those situations. She walked in and she said, I'm taking them home.
Yeah.
And Amos in particular pretty much latched himself onto Kristen like a kid, like a baby, and would not let go for weeks. So that was over 10 years ago. And now they are probably the most spoiled, rotten, happy monkeys, whose, definitely their lives would have been miserable had we not been able to keep on. So
wow.
yeah.
That's a tragic story with a good ending, at least.
So what would normally happen to animals like that if there wasn't some place like Care Foundation taking them in? Would they euthanize them usually?
Yeah, that's sometimes a sad ending, depending on what kind of animal it is. If they can't find anywhere for them to go, yes, euthanasia is a possibility. I know that a lot of times Fish and Wildlife will work very hard to place them in a facility. So it depends on what kind of animal it is, what the hardships are in having them placed. Yeah. So it depends. I mean, we've had police go in and do drug raids and find, exotic animals. The illegal pet trade is huge. We've taken animals that were parts of that.
Wow, I'm so naive about that stuff. I never would have thought that.
Yeah, and you said that you have an interesting cat, a liger.
Yes, this guy. I'm wearing his shirt. Actually, I don't know if you can see it.
Stand up a little bit, we can see.
Okay. So that's his face, but this is actually a year ago. So he's called a liger. I don't know if you guys know what a liger is.
Is that a lion tiger?
That's what I was going to ask. Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 50-50. From people who ever saw the movie Napoleon Dynamite with the kids, when it's the part of the movie is it's a myth. It's not a myth. They actually are real.
Oh, wow.
And there are facilities all over the country. Some of them that breed ligers. Obviously, most zoos don't have them. They're not natural in the wild. They do not exist in the wild.
Yeah.
So our guy is actually a liger. So he's a hybrid of a hybrid.
Okay. Explain this.
So his name is Chimera. And Chimera is, so he's part lion, part tiger, but his dad is a lion and his mom is the liger. So he's basically 2 parts lion, 1 part tiger.
Gotcha.
Okay.
We did not breed him. We don't do any breeding like that. That's not what we're about. But we have no idea where he was bred. We have an idea of maybe where he came from based on our connections, stories, Netflix series that go on.
I have a question in the chamber for that for sure.
But there's very few places that have bred ligers, and for many years people thought ligers and the hybrids were all sterile.
Yeah.
So, but we connected with somebody who had acquired Chimera and his brother at another educational type entertainment facility, and then they decided they wanted to get rid of one of them. So our director, she kind of thought it over for a while. I mean, that was a big cat to take on.
Yeah,
sure. But in the end, she thought, we have 3 tigers that were growing up at the time that he could, socialize with, grow up with. We had a ton of big cat experience, and I mean, to be honest, who else was going to take this cat?
Right.
He's a hybrid, and most zoos wouldn't take him, and we didn't want him to go somewhere where he wouldn't get treated well.
Sure.
So she said, "Yep, I'll take him in." And when we got him, he was 11 weeks old, about 30 pounds. He was a chubby little cubby. We were told he would grow to be maybe 500 pounds, if that. And he's not even 3 years old yet, and he's probably well over 600 pounds already.
Oh, my. Now, is this maybe the reason why the zoos didn't want to take him on? I mean, is it just because they don't know much about them? Why would they normally not take an animal like that?
I mean, most accredited zoos generally won't get involved with other, like, unaccredited, like not accredited facilities. Mm-hmm. Zoos generally will network with each other. So when it comes to smaller facilities, nonprofits, we try and work together. But when you're talking about independent private facilities, private breeders, the zoos tend to stay away from that. But especially the hybrids, when you're talking about a man-made animal, there's a lot of taboo that can surround that. So it's something that, we don't have an opinion on it necessarily. We take in the animals that nobody else wants. And so as long as we have a healthy, happy animal, the rest is not a big deal. But there's a lot of taboo that surrounds whether there's any conservation benefit to them. They don't exist in the wild. So a lot of zoos would say they're focusing on conservation to animals being in the wild.
Yeah, natural animals.
Yeah, and it's not something they would want to encourage as well. Probably. Sure. So that's why they don't do that. Okay. Understandable. But that's what's great about your facility is this is one of the things, having an animal like that is one of your things that you would educate people about. This is not, this wouldn't happen naturally. This is man tampering with animals to get something that they want.
Sure. Now there are, many years ago when people were breeding these hybrids, it was kind of that backyard breeding, Jurassic Park type stuff. Let's see what kind of cool animal we can get. Now, 30, 40 years later, there are some genetic benefits to having some of these animals that helps with, genetic research of the lion and tiger population in captivity. So it's not to say that there couldn't be some positive that comes out of having animals like him around. But, people ask us all the time, well, are you going to breed him? No, we don't care. We have no plans of exploiting this animal whatsoever. But we get that question a lot, which kind of thinks that's probably how he was born to begin with, was let's see what kind of cool animal we can create.
Wow, that's weird. It's so weird. I mean, it's great that you guys rescued him, but it's weird. I didn't even know that you could crossbreed different types of animals like that.
You can. It's crazy what people come up with.
No kidding.
It's how we got all the different types of doggies and
if you think about it, that's true. That's very true, actually.
Yeah.
So you guys have like a hands-on policy with your animals too, don't you?
We do.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we like to be as hands-on as possible. If any animal comes in that craves attention, especially since they live with us, and if we can give that to them, a lot of times that's going to help to fill in the gaps of maybe something they wouldn't get without being in the wild. Right. Especially animals that, even if they're solitary, tigers are generally solitary cats in the wild. But, if they crave attention, if they want that affection, and we can do it safely, then that's something we're going to give them. It's that if that's going to enrich their lives. Obviously, we give them toys. And if they like to socialize with each other, we'll do that, too. But that goes with any of our animals. So it depends on what kind of animal comes in and where they're coming from. And we have animals that have been maybe abused, neglected, found on the side of the road where we don't even know their story, where they've come from. So we kind of have to give them time to adjust to our place and then see what it is they want from us. If they don't want anything in terms of attention, they prefer their own, just toys. We can do, I call them busy boxes or hiding treats, foraging, things like that, trying to recreate natural behaviors. Yeah. We will do that. But, we're very, bonding is something that some of these animals really love. Chimera is one of those animals. He is part lion. They are pride animals in the wild. Yeah. A really important part of their social structure, their family structure, is literally to headbutt, to clean each other, to lick each other, to sleep together, to nuzzle each other. Yeah, he does it. Yeah. So, that's something we find very important, that our animals, they enjoy it. So if we didn't give that to them, I feel like we'd be taking something away from them.
Yeah, and they've been brought there so that their quality of life can improve. And if that's something that improves it and can make them live a long, happy life, I guess, then that's what you're giving them. So I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So,
plus, there is a huge benefit to the hands-on that I kind of do want to add. That some people say, well, by being so hands-on with them, you're humanizing them, or you're trying to make them a pet. A big benefit to hands-on is also that in terms of care for them, vet care, being able to do all those things, it makes us more able to really care for them in that sense. So if we need to give an animal a medication, or, physically examine an animal, having that relationship with them makes it so much easier.
Oh yeah. It's tranquilizing them every time you have to. Oh yeah. And
so that's something.
Sounds a bit scary to me. I get why you do it though. It just,
but the other thing is too, what people need to realize, they're not going back out into the wild or going anywhere else. This is their forever home.
Oh, that's a great point. So you're not afraid of them getting used to people and then not being able to be safe around, because in the wild they'll tell you don't feed an animal because then it gets used to people and it doesn't understand the people relationship. And so that's a great point. You guys aren't concerned about that because they're staying with you.
Right. Yeah. So if you're working at a rehab center, part of what you're trying to do is keep them from getting used to people. So that's a whole nother set of circumstances. Right. Yep. But with us, it's that instead being comfortable at our facility, not making them stressed out, not having them have anxieties and things like that. So an animal that's cowering at the back of an enclosure, that's not what we want to see.
Sure.
But we do have animals that they're simply happy with. We can walk in the door of their enclosure. We can clean, we can feed them, we can give them new things, but they're very much, hey, you can come in here, but don't touch me.
Yeah.
No touchy. This is as far as you can come. You can hand me something, but don't touch me. And that's the established relationship we have, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And then we can handle it accordingly. For any animal that we can't touch directly, we will build what we call security lockdowns, where they shift voluntarily into those separate areas for treats and positive reinforcement. So then we can do repairs, cleaning in their main area so that they don't feel anxious or threatened by us. So we have all of those measures.
Yeah.
Right. Or animals that are large predators. So we have a big black bear, Lola, that we do not hang out with her in any way, shape, or form. So she ships over. And then some of our big cats that we're not hands-on with directly. So we have all that in place too for safety. We cover all grounds, but the animals that we can literally walk in the door with and they can hop all over us while we're doing everything, they love it. They love being a part of it. So
that's awesome.
We would never take that.
I didn't think about this either, but I bet that's when I know nothing about animals. So I'm just going to, but you said something that kind of struck me about cowering in the back of the cage and having anxiety. Aside from that being like a miserable existence for them, but when they're comfortable, I'm assuming that's when they don't I would assume that most accidents happen when animals have anxiety because they're, I would assume that's when they strike out because they're afraid. In captivity, I mean.
Yeah, that can be one of the reasons. A big part of our when we're training our volunteers and when we bring an animal in is definitely allowing them time to adjust. I mean, I have a psychology degree and people ask me all the time, how could you possibly use your psychology degree? I said every single day.
Right, of course.
Because it's all about behavior with these guys. You're bringing in an animal where you have no idea what they've been through. You have no idea, what they're thinking. So part of your job is to walk in there and go, okay, let me try and get inside this animal's head and think, how can I make you comfortable with what I'm doing? But, at the same time, respect the relationship we're building with them and still allow for it to be as natural of an existence for them as possible.
Right.
So you're trying to cover all of these different facets, at the same time.
Yeah.
So definitely, we as stress-free as a life as we can give them. So when it does come to the vet exams, we have a vet exam once a year, sometimes twice a year. Our vet comes out and she does have to vaccinate those 300 to 500 pound tigers and that 600 pound liger. She's not going to walk in the door with those animals. So we train them. We walk in the door with the ones we can to actually lean up against the side of the fence where she can then vaccinate them through the fence. So a lot of zoos do that too. The voluntary blood draws will they'll teach their primates, their apes, their big cats to voluntarily come up, lean up against the side. A lot of their apes, like their gorillas or their orangutans, to actually present an arm or a hand to come actually sit there while they do a blood draw.
That's also a level of trust that you've developed between them. That's very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we try and do the same thing with a lot of our animals, but when you're working with animals that maybe have been abused, neglected, have gone through some traumatic experiences, you're working kind of already, with a little bit against you to try and bring them back.
Yeah.
So,
of course. Well, I love that the CARE Foundation is really started because she was so passionate, not only about animals, but educating others about them. So let's talk a little bit more about the education you do in the community, places that could ask for you guys to come. Do you bring animals with you? Like, what are you doing in the community as far as educating? What am I trying to say? I don't know.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
You got it. All right.
So Kristen's main focus is, we honestly, there's not much we won't do in terms of education. A lot of what we get calls for is school, like I said, library shows, school events in the summertime. A big draw is a lot of the day camps. The kids, like daycares, come out for if they're looking to do like a day trip with the kids, to bring out the kids to do a tour of the property. We do birthday parties on property as well, where like parents can schedule their kids' birthday party where they can do a tour of the facility. We have a playground area where the kids can, run around crazy away from the animals, but then we do some birthday party, animal guests that will come and enjoy part of that. So we also have, sometimes we'll do even conventions. Depends on what it is that they're looking for. Because sometimes it's just, hey, we're having a convention and we're looking for a little bit of just breath of fresh air. Do you have a couple of tropical birds that just love to be tropical birds and come out and you can talk about what you do and why you exist, and allow these birds to just come out and have a heck of a good time. At maybe like company dinner parties too. So she does some of those. But in terms of education, it's a lot of kids groups that we try and do. The tours on our property that we really gear towards families as well.
And I would assume those are a source of income for you as well. So that yes.
Yeah, it's all different donation based on what kinds of animals you're looking for, what types of shows you're looking for, the length of time. So we have a group of animal ambassadors that we particularly keep that love to go out and meet people. One of our capuchin monkeys, Rosie, we call her the happy monkey. She's one of the 4 original monkeys I was telling you about. She loves to go out and just show off for everybody. And she's our main monkey that is our, education monkey to teach people why they don't make good pets. And then we have some small mammals, like one of our skunks, a gator, a couple of snakes, other small reptiles, one of our mini pigs. Her name is Pagorni Weaver. Or Kiwi.
The names are great.
Yes, we love to come up with fun names. But a lot of these animals are animals that truly love people and just interacting with people. So they also, some of them are also endangered species. So they do their part in educating, but also just have a heck of a good time hanging out.
Very cool.
So I have to ask, I know that you go rescue animals when, maybe it was like a weird scenario like you talked about where it's an exotic pet owner, maybe they shouldn't have had it, or other facilities. Is there a way that people can reach out to you if they know of or have an animal that I'm just wondering, like, how do people, if someone has an animal or finds an animal, can they call you and say, hey, I have whatever, do you guys want it? Is that a common way that you get animals as well? Because I would assume you'd get sort of overwhelmed with calls if that was the case.
We do sometimes. Like I said, there's often a trend. What's kind of the trendy pet of the year?
That's so sad.
So it's recent years. It's been like the potbelly pigs, the mini pigs, the giant tortoises has been big lately. At one point it was the monkeys, foxes. So we do get calls often for animals like that. If it is an exotic or considered an exotic that you have to have a license for.
Right.
They can call us directly. And we can choose to say, yes, we have the room, the resources. We always have to look at our facility. Do we have the space for the animal? Do we have the experience? Have we ever had this animal? And do we think we can give it the proper care? And do we have the resources to, actually take this animal in? But on top of that, legally, if the animal requires a license, this person has to provide that licensing, stating that they've done all the right paperwork and give us all of that with the animal. Otherwise, we're required to turn them over to Fish and Wildlife Commission, because otherwise we get in trouble.
Of course.
Because then they're illegally owning an animal, and we can't condone that.
And they're
so we have had a couple
that
people
to you, that risk to you. Yeah.
Correct. We have to have all of our paperwork in order. We get inspected at least once a year by the Fish and Wildlife Commission and USDA. And the very first thing they ask for is all of our paperwork to make sure all of our animals are, accounted for, that we have acquired all of them legally, and that we have the right to have them here and care for them properly.
Yeah.
So we keep all of our ducks in a row. If anybody else wants to, then they need to follow the proper channels. And if not, then shame on you, and we need to make sure Fish and Game is aware of that.
Of course.
Gotcha.
You also talked about volunteers earlier as we first started chatting. How do people go about becoming a volunteer, and what's expected of someone if they're volunteering? Can anyone be a volunteer, or is there a set of requirements?
Anybody can be a volunteer. We generally look for you to be, 18 or more. We have had a couple of volunteers under 18. If you are under 18, mom or dad has to be with you at all times and be a volunteer as well. It's not for the faint of heart. So, if there are any physical limitations or anything like that, we can accommodate anybody. But we are very honest when people come looking to volunteer, that it is not a
Pet fest?
Cat, it's not a cat cuddling position at the SPCA.
Yeah.
It's kind of how I've explained it. I've done those positions as well. Yeah, you're going to be dirty. Our volunteers are out there in the pouring rain, in the heat. They spend all day just literally covered in Lord knows what. And they do it with a smile on their face. And the biggest thing is people think they're going to come in and get to play with these animals all day, including these big cats, these monkeys, the bear. And while our volunteers that have given of their time for years do sometimes graduate to actually building relationships with these animals, some of them have even gone in with the big cats.
Oh, wow.
If you expect to walk in the door and automatically do that, then this isn't the place you need to be.
Of course.
Yeah. That's probably a red flag as to the fact that they don't know much about animals. Yes.
Yeah. You don't have to have a ton of animal savvy. You don't have to be, have all this experience. We can teach you, but you do have to have the common sense. You do have to have the respect to follow the rules we give you. Mm-hmm. We have to know that you can make good decisions. And honestly, you have to have a healthy fear of the animals you're working with. Yeah. I say healthy fear, not a scary fear. We need to know that you can confidently walk in and do what you need to do, but also have a healthy respect for the fact that some of these animals can literally kill you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I have people walk in that want to volunteer and say, "Oh, I'm not scared, I can do this," I see arrogance, not confidence.
Yes, that's dangerous.
So it's a big red flag. Anybody can be a volunteer. We do look for those people that are willing to commit a good amount of time, usually a minimum of 1 day a week for the first 6 months to a year. The more you're there, the more you learn, and the more we can trust that you can do things unsupervised. We do have a pretty full volunteer list right now. I like to do everything one-on-one training.
Yeah.
We don't just take in 20 new volunteers all at one time and go, here you go, have fun.
So you guys do a lot of building enclosures and things like this. I did notice on the website that there's people with specific talents that you are looking for to help out in those areas. Can you talk about that? Because there might be somebody listening that can call and say, hey, I know how to do that.
Yeah, good point.
Upcoming projects are a lot of big, sorry, my dog is running around. Mia, come here.
It's a never-ending care for animals.
It is, even at home, I have wildlife. Mia, lay down. A lot of big construction projects. The biggest things are the chimera, the big guy, is upgrading. So we have a huge exercise play yard for the big cats, but they each all have what I like to call their bedroom areas, but it's their nighttime lockdown areas. So he has outgrown the area he has, and we're building him a new one. A, because he needs to graduate, but B, because we're also taking in another rescue, a lioness, in the next couple months, and she will need a place as well. So that kind of enclosure can cost anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 just to house that one animal, and is, a ton of work. It's concreting poles into the ground. It's welding things together. For an animal his size, we're going to be using telephone poles as the main structural pieces. And then, heavy fencing. And, of course, he'll get a pool, he'll get sand, he'll get toys, but all of that is a big deal. So people that just are comfortable working out in the heat but also can follow instruction, can understand that, this is just something where you're willing to get down and dirty, put in eight hours of work, and are happy to do whatever. And it's backbreaking work. We'll be happy to. And usually we put out the word, hey, this is going to be the construction weekend. Anybody that's got the experience, can handle it physically, and is looking to give of their time, give us a call or message us here, and we'll let you know when we're doing that weekend.
I love it. So since you guys are a nonprofit, we've talked about the special events that you do to kind of raise money, which hopefully you can have it this year, but we will see how that goes. Are there others in the community that you partner with that help you raise funds, or any shout outs you want to give to people that you just have, that have helped support you in a big way?
Yeah, we do have a very special group of people. It's called Megaplex. They call themselves furries. They're an amazing group of animal lovers. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
The furries?
Yeah.
Yes, we've heard of furries.
Okay. So the convention is called Megaplex every year. They do a number of events throughout the year. But their biggest weekend is usually in August, and they do a fun convention weekend where they do all sorts of events for themselves, but they also have an auction during that time and other fundraising events. And we are usually their charity, their organization of choice to then give the proceeds to. Plus, they'll often do other events throughout the year, whether it be picnics or small fundraisers. And they, in particular, every year always donate all proceeds. Last year, they raised over $40,000 for us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was incredible. And I mean, they are just some of the most supportive, just animal lovers in general, just the nicest, kindest, fun, and giving people. When it comes to our animals and our organization, there's just no end to their generosity. That's great. I'd say definitely they're a big one we'd like to say thank you to. And around the community, we have just local supporters, businesses that have been sponsors for our fundraisers. Some of the restaurants in town they love to have Amos to the Mellow Mushroom pizza place, Beefo Brady's. We are allowed to bring Amos to dinner, and they love to see us. And they have sponsored even the Orange County Sheriff's Office is we've done events with them. Even Fish and Wildlife Commission, the officers, when they bring us a deer that has unfortunately been hit by a car, been poached, we are now their number one place that they know we have to go bring this deer. Those cats need a deer. They need to get fed.
That's great.
It's so nice.
I didn't either.
Oh, wow. And can it be like they found it a few days ago?
It depends. In the summertime, no, it's got to be pretty soon after, because the meat does start to go rotten, and we kind of spoil our cats. We like to give them top of the line.
Of course. Of course. They're your babies.
If the officer gets called, like if somebody calls and says, I just hit a deer and it doesn't look like it's going to make it, or if they hit a deer and it runs off, but it's not going to survive, then they unfortunately have to go out and put it down. Or if it gets poached, you have to have a hunting license in order to actually go hunting.
Sure.
If somebody gets caught doing that, they're not allowed to keep the deer. We are now their number one facility. We used to get maybe one or two a year. We now get at least one or two a month.
That's amazing.
Wow. Well, that just reminds me that we have plenty of people that listen that I think that's really good information to know. I grew up in an area where it was very common in Apopka to hit a deer, or even I had a friend who a deer ran into her car.
Yeah. And don't just keep going. call the Fish and
Yeah.
Wildlife, let them know that you hit it, right? And then they'll pick it up
And they'll
take
get
it
in
over.
touch with you guys. Yeah.
That's
awesome.
if it's an Orange County, because we are in Orange County. So I'm not sure about other counties. Specifically, it's our guys, our officers
Gotcha.
that usually do it. But yeah, they surprise us every couple of days.
Wow.
That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Well, of course, we know people can make monetary donations through your website. We've been throwing up your website on the slides kind of in between. But is there any other donations that they can make directly to you if they have an excess of something that they could drop off or call you to arrange to be able to drop it off?
Yeah, so we definitely we have an Amazon wish list as well that sits up on Amazon. Yep, and that gives a lot of the basic like dried goods, like dried dog kibble, cat kibble, canned goods, bird foods, toys, small mammal foods like ferret foods, turtle foods. So if you prefer to actually give donate an item, you can choose from a list of those, and those are the kind of monthly needs. We go through so much bagged food. That gives you an idea of things you can choose from. Also, if you're looking to get rid of something, things like kids' toys, like all of those Fisher Price, Little Tykes, large plastic kids' toys. Those are great for our small mammals, all of our monkeys, our raccoons, our foxes. We put those in their enclosures. They last so much longer than things built out of wood and stuff like that. And they love to play on them, and they're really easy to clean. They can get clean very, very well. So that's a great donation. If you've had pets in the past where you're looking to get rid of like cat trees, like those carpet cat trees or a dog bed, or you can always call. There are people that have come up with the wildest things that they go, well, maybe they would need this. Blankets, sheets, towels, and stuff like that. We have actually an abundance of those right now. So we're actually good on those. So the last couple of times people have called us, we have encouraged them to call other facilities first. But we always say, feel free to call us, because if we ever need more, that's always something we need.
Of course.
And of course, food items. If somebody, has excess of something, our volunteers clean out their fridge every week, and, our animals get like the best stuff. Our bear eats leftover Chinese food and salads and pizza and on top of course, a very healthy diet. Our animals we actually get Publix down the road donates all of their leftover produce. Every week.
Oh, wow.
So we get sometimes anywhere from 5 to 15 boxes of fresh fruits and vegetables, all sorts of greens, sometimes yogurt parfaits, those pre-made salads that you might pay $9 for a salmon salad at Publix. We'll get a whole box of those. And then each of our raccoons get a salmon salad for dinner.
How cool is that?
Cool. Yeah. That is
so
amazing.
Our animals eat better than I think I do every day. Non-perishables is always good. Canned fruits and veggies, because we have so many produce and fresh fruit and veggie eaters. Like I said, our bear gets the leftovers, but she also needs a ton of fruits and veggies too. So that's good. But if there's ever anything that people think, oh, maybe they can use it, give us a call.
Awesome.
All we can say is, we can't use it, or we actually have a ton of those, but thanks for the offer. And then we can maybe recommend another neighboring facility that's badly in need of that. We have a ton of other nonprofit, friends, facilities that we are always networking with, that we try and keep in contact with and help each other out. So
excellent.
Love that.
Yeah, I do too. It's great and interesting. So Kelly, as we're wrapping up, I have to ask the Tiger King. So,
okay, let's have it.
I just, when Angie and I first talked about the organization and meeting with you, my first thought was that a good thing or a bad thing for your organization? Did it have any effect on you? Was there an increase in calls? Did you watch it yourself? Did you think, oh my gosh, this is like the worst of the worst? Because we watched it. And
we were hooked.
And I don't normally watch stuff like that. And it was like, when people ask me, oh, I'm thinking about watching it, to me, it was like watching a train wreck in slow motion.
I know. I think train wreck is probably the perfect word to describe it.
Yes.
Like, you said it first, so I don't feel bad reusing the word.
Right.
Okay, so let's start back at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes, I did watch it.
Okay.
Most of us did watch it.
It had to be hard
Kristen,
for you to watch, especially.
It was, but a lot of people thought, yes, at some points it did kind of bring tears to my eyes because I would never treat an animal in the ways that you saw some of it. But I've been in this business long enough. My director, Kristen, has been in the business for 30 plus years. We've seen it all. So we're very realistic. We know it goes on. We hate that it goes on. We can't control what everybody does. We can only do our best to take care of what we have at our place and hope that we can create a mission that, us and our neighboring facilities, and that, we can only pray that every sanctuary or rescue like ours has the same goal in mind.
Yeah.
But having said that, we do know the unfortunate happens, and that's heartbreaking. But yes, I watched it out of morbid curiosity.
Same here.
I do know of the characters in the series. Kristen personally knows some of the characters in the series, and she has had some contact with them.
Yeah.
I guess I'll leave it at that. She has, had some run-ins with a few of them and does not always see eye to eye with them. Of course,
I would expect not. But I would also think that if there's any good to come out of that, it's that the general public awareness of some of these facilities that are not on the up and up, I think it makes, and I could be a little presumptuous here, but I think it makes you more aware of looking for it. That doesn't look right, or that doesn't seem right whenever you hear of or go to a facility. Because to me, I didn't even know, and this is kind of naive, but I didn't even know it was possible to have a sort of sanctuary or a zoo without following the proper procedures. I thought, the rules are so tight that they're on top of it. And obviously it's heartwarming to hear of the type of facility that you guys have, but I couldn't help but ask, because I guess I thought for those of you that are doing the right thing, when you see that, it sounds like it was no surprise to you. It was kind of the same old thing.
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, because those facilities exist out there because guess what? Some of our cats probably come from facilities like those.
Yeah.
You got to think that's where some of them originated from. Sure. So you just are thankful that now they live in a better place and are not subjected to that kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, wasn't really bad publicity for us because we don't do any of those things.
It might be good publicity for you, actually.
I think it actually has been. We didn't get any bad stigma from it. We definitely got a few phone calls. It was more a lot of our own friends and family of the volunteer staff, my family, my friends, Kristen's family and friends. Yeah. We were inundated with contact saying, "Did you see this yet?"
Yes.
And we did. Yes, we did. We saw it. But it was a lot of people actually kind of standing up for us and saying to these other facilities, I should be more like CARE.
Right.
Thank God you guys exist and are not like them. So it definitely was good for us.
Yeah.
But it did kind of open up the door for the questions of a lot of things. And it just made it so that we had to then answer all those questions as tours came in or people would inquire. But no, it definitely wasn't bad publicity for us at all, because that's not us. That's not what we do. Yeah. And so it just kind of opened the door for all of, the people that don't treat their animals right to get,
open their eyes, hopefully.
To hopefully get busted. I mean, honestly, I just say that because when you talk about animals coming from those types of facilities to your facility, that's what we want to happen, right? I mean, that's one of the...
I mean, if that's what were to happen, we would we'd do the best we could. I mean... Yeah. I mean, we have nothing to hide. That was one of the things that Kristen has always said is we've never had anything to hide. Come see our facility, come meet our animals, come talk to us. We're not doing anything wrong here. Everything we do, we are very honest about, because we've always believed what we do is what's best for the animals.
Yes. Well, I didn't even know about you guys until Angie told me. I love what you guys are doing. Can you tell us one more time, just for our listeners and those that are watching, how people can find you and, phone number, website, easiest way.
So we actually have a brand new website coming out. So the website that you guys have put up is definitely an outdated one. So for those that have been watching, it's going to be the same website address, I believe, but it will be a whole brand new, awesome, updated website with a ton of new information. All the new animals we've rescued will be on the website with some new vlogs and some new community updates. So definitely tune into that in the next month.
Very nice.
And that's www.carefoundation.org, thecarefoundation.org.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll put a link in the show notes.
I know. And then, of course, we do have
We'll put a link to everyone that you mentioned, as well as your website, your Amazon wish list, and everything. So if you're listening now, you can scroll down on your device and find all the links that we've been talking about.
And the Facebook page, too.
Yes. So we do have a Facebook page as well as an Instagram page that Kristen runs the Instagram page. And hers, it's really fun because her page is a lot of what goes on behind the scenes with Mom. Like she'll do sometimes once the doors are closed at nighttime when she's hanging out, she'll have Amos out watching TV or our little prairie dog, Snoop Dogg, running around the house. Nice. So sometimes she gives a little bit of like the view from Mom of what goes on, as well as a ton of educational posts. And of course, what goes on around the facility. So she runs that page. And then, of course, we have the Facebook page, which we've been running the fundraiser from and just general what's going on. But definitely, our website, we're really looking forward to a new look because what we have up there is so outdated. We have a brand new web designer we're really excited to be working with right now.
Awesome.
So,
very nice.
And then if, our phone number is directly to Kristen's cell phone, and that's the way to book tours. If you do want to check out the website, there will be new volunteer information on, how to look into that, as well as how to book tours and events. We're hoping to, at some point, be able to set up a merchandise section where you can actually order some of our animal crafted stuff, as well as T-shirts and hats and things like that, too, down the road. So we're looking to really up a lot of that to generate some support that way and kind of get our name out there.
And we'll make sure to put the famous Amos page, too. The Facebook page for famous Amos.
He hasn't been on in a while, so we got to update that too. We were slacking on our social media with all of this going on, and we definitely. But the website is the biggest thing. We want to put up profiles of all of our volunteers and our animals. But the biggest thing is hopefully starting some webcam stuff with the animals and getting everybody more of like a day-to-day, hey, what's going on right now in our place? So
right. Oh, that'd be cool to be able to peek in on a webcam and see what's going on with some of the animals.
Yeah, we're hoping to maybe make that's kind of in the future, but at least all the animals we've taken in, because we have so many new animals that people don't even really know about yet unless you've taken a tour with us.
Yeah.
So we want to introduce them to everybody and let them know. And of course, the animals that are going to be coming in, that's an important part of our fundraising right now. We want to be able to tell everybody about that too.
Awesome. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for sitting with us tonight. It was super educational, very interesting, and we're excited to kind of help get the word out and get more people.
And we're excited to come do a tour when you guys open back up to that.
Yeah,
definitely.
We are so excited to have you guys out too. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, have a good night, and we are going to take a quick 2-minute break for those of you guys watching or listening, and we will be right back. Thank you again, Kelly.
Bye, Kelly.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Okay, well, thank you guys for tuning in for that interview. I know we ran long, super interesting stuff.
I could have talked for so much longer.
I really could have too, honestly.
I'm excited to go there. So right before COVID happened, I was talking to Holly Fox about they do tours, and there's a certain price for up to 6 people or whatever. You get the private tour.
Sure.
But then this all happened. And we couldn't go. So we're going to go.
Oh, right before COVID?
Right before COVID.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah,
I never know what we're doing.
Yeah, me
I
and
just
her were
go with
talking about going. Yeah. And she's like, do you guys want to go? I'm like, yeah. But then everything happened.
Right.
And I couldn't. But we are going to go because that is a really cool thing right down the road from us to do.
I had no idea it was there.
Support local charities, people.
I had no idea it was there. But anyway, in the spirit of sort of wrapping up before we get super long, I know we're going an hour deep now. I had a couple things I wanted to mention, a couple things I wanted to plug. I know you did too. Mm-hmm. We had a date day yesterday. Finally, we wore our masks out there. We took them off when we got in there, and then we took them back off. But I'm talking about a place called the Fourth Wall Super cool place. You can actually go into the set of, right now they're doing Friends and that 70s show. Angie and I went into into Monica's apartment.
It's Monica's apartment that they're doing right now.
Yes. Well, you tell them about it. You're the Friends junkie.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So it was it was almost exactly like her apartment. Now her apartment changes like throughout the season.
Yep.
So I'm sure they chose whatever, season that they were kind of working on.
Sure.
But of course they did a great job. Oh my gosh. It was literally like being in Monica's apartment.
Yeah, it was really cool. And there were so many little details you could find. And if you're a fan of the show and you know about like the Geller Cup, or
it's there.
Or what's that little board you had with the Post-it notes on it?
Oh, that's the game that they did, the lightning round.
Oh, yes, the lightning round game. There's just there's pictures of them like on the table. I mean, it really looks like they lived there. It was really cool. Then we went to Eric's basement in that 70s show.
These are two of my sleep shows. So this was like perfect. That was like a little bonus part.
Yeah, that was so cool. And like if you look around in there, it's like Eric's Fat Burger badge is in there. And there's like old newspapers and old magazines from the 70s. And it looks just like the set. So
yes, and people taking your kids there, be careful of the magazine sitting on the counter.
The Playboy magazine is a real Playboy magazine. That is not a prop.
It is not a prop, people. So little children, please be careful with bringing your little children there unattended.
Yes. But we had such a fun time, and it's highly recommended. And I think it's like $15 a person. They don't let you stay in there very long, but they wipe it down with Lysol and everything in between.
So what I love, though, is that we talked to the owner, and this is... COVID is the thing that made them do these private sessions where each party gets 10 minutes in each room.
Your own time instead of a million people in there.
Which is so, I told him, you have to continue that because it's so much better than people walking in your way and then trying to get a picture. So I like it much better. I said, yes, keep that up. So we're going to try to have him on the show. That would be really cool.
Oh yeah, that would be great. We left the card.
Where this idea came from.
Yeah. And we left contact information. We should email them, but we forgot to bring cards.
Yeah.
But very cool. They're going to be adding things. They've got enough space to add like 2 or 3 more sets. And it's really fun.
Orlando's been very receptive to this.
Yeah.
So they've actually been booked up.
Yeah.
Like all their slots were booked up for this.
Yeah.
And I think now it's like you can buy tickets, but you have to wait.
Yeah.
Like until everybody else is kind of gone through. Yeah.
But anyway, if you're looking for something fun to do, you give them a call, find out how far out the wait is, but it's highly recommended. It's inexpensive. It's a fun thing to go do. It's still, I feel like it's a safe thing still because you can wear your mask, you get in there, you can see them cleaning everything in between. And then you can go, sit on the couch in the Friends in Monica's apartment. They're talking about possibly in the future adding Big Bang Theory, which is another show we love, and that'd be really fun to do. And it'll be neat to see if they stay and they continue to add sets, who else they add.
All right, I'm going to show you something. I'm a super fan, okay?
Oh, here she goes. How are you possibly going to do that?
There it is, right there.
She has a Friends tattoo on her foot.
I can't. I don't know how to turn it.
So
there it is.
There you go. That is dedication.
Mindy Fox took me to get that tattoo. We got matching Friends tattoos.
That's right.
That's what we did. Anyway, so what I want to talk about is a charity event that we are going to be a part of in July. And it's from July 17th to July 25th. So it's a long one. But they're doing this thing called Barn Raiser for Evangeline. And Evangeline is a little 2-year-old girl that was diagnosed with cancer.
Yes.
And doing like chemo daily and, a very big struggle on the family right now, obviously financially with everything with COVID going on as well.
Yes.
So Shabby Jo, Joellen, her name's not really Shabby Jo. But she has put this, is putting this event together with the Big Red Barn of Geneva. So it's like an antique store, kind of like Trader May's here in Apopka. And so it's a week long, but they're going to have different events kind of every day, like different purchases. A certain percentage will go towards Evangeline.
Right.
And then the last day on the 25th, we're going to do a big blowout. The kitchen Killaz are going to be there.
I love it.
And they're going to be performing. I think their time is going to be like 11 to 3.
Right.
So They're going to be there entertaining the crowds.
It'll be
And
great.
it's just going to be a really cool thing. It's going to be like a silent auction type event. And we are going to have Jo on, I believe she's on July 7th, so that we can chat a little bit more about it, bring some hype up around it.
Oh.
But what we are looking for is if anybody wants to make donations for the silent auction. So if you have gift cards from your business that you'd like to donate, little gift baskets that promote your business, services that you offer like gift certificates, anything like that, that would be very well appreciated to put into the silent auction because it's going for 7 days. So
Wow.
they need things for each and every day.
Yes.
Even something like, bottled water that they could sell at the event or something like that.
Anything,
So
yeah.
if you would like to make a donation for this event, let us know. We're starting to kind of organize things and collect things for them. And we will be out there on the Saturday to help them out.
I'm excited about it. It's going to be great. And what a great cause, too,
But that's all I have because I'm super tired and I'm hungry.
Me too.
We've been working in the yard all day before we started the podcast tonight.
I'm starting to feel it. I feel like I was getting a little burned towards the end. I want to say
Yeah.
one more thing. I wanted to give a congrats to Tornatore's because they ended up winning the best takeout in Orlando. I think it was called the best
they
takeout,
did.
which is weird because they're not really takeout. I mean, you can take out, and they've been doing the
It
thing.
tastes delicious when you take it
Oh,
out.
it tastes delicious in the store, out of the store. So, of course, we voted for them because it's our favorite restaurant, or one of our favorite restaurants. But anyway, I just wanted to give congrats to Denny and the staff over at Tornatore's. We love that place. I know we plug it all the time.
Yeah,
but,
I wanted to tell Denny, and you can call Dan and ask him this. Angie don't have very many favorite restaurants. I have two.
Yes.
Tornatore's is one of them.
Yep.
I am very picky when I go out to eat
Yes.
about the food being fresh and really made from scratch.
Yep.
And I know the difference. Tell me I don't know the
I know.
difference.
I love it. I love it though because we are trying to eat healthy and get more fit, and we're doing a lot of exercising and a lot of healthy eating. And the food at Tornatore's is certainly not bad for you. I don't think it is.
No.
But when I know we're going to cheat and might
we're
get a
going for,
pizza
like, the
or something,
tiramisu.
I know that if I mention Tornatore's pizza or Tornatore's stuff,
so good.
I'm going to get it. So that's the it's,
we bring the one home to make. And
it's
it
so
is
good.
amazing.
Oh, it's so
like
good.
it is amazing.
Why are we
So-
talking about that right now?
I don't because we're hungry because we didn't eat dinner yet. It's 9:30 at night. But guys, we love you. Thank you so much for stopping in and saying hi to us. And making your comments. I know we don't get to comment as we're talking
couldn't
because
keep up,
can't
yeah.
we can't see and type at the same time. We can't do two things at once. But we appreciate every time you stop in and support us. And make sure you support those businesses and charities and organizations that we chat about as well.
Yes, please do. And remember that anytime you have an idea for the show, if you want to be a guest on the show, if you know someone that might be a guest on the show, a business that might like to be on the show, an artist, a charity organization, you can contact us anytime. You can email us at feedback@fineandangie.com, or you can call us at 407-490-3899. I have it memorized now, which is crazy. I don't know how I
You
memorized
sure
it.
too. And guys, make sure to rate, review, and subscribe. Give us a like on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. All of our social media. We're under Fine and Dangie. And guys, just remember at the end of each and every day, it's all fun and dangy.